Suspected thugs attack SDP Secretariat in Rivers State, southern Nigeria. Lagos police arrest police superintendent over the death of Lagos lawyer Bolanle Rahim on Christmas Day. Saraki Kwara governor trade words over alleged embezzlement of UBEC funds. Also tonight on Politics HQ, 3 people killed in Nigerian military helicopter crash at Niamey Airport. Ethiopian government's delegation visits Tigray after a peace deal. I'm Sulaiman Aledeh. Tonight on Politics HQ, Benson Enikuomehin, a legal practitioner, joins me. He'll be speaking on developments on the NDDC plus the coming elections in Nigeria. Politics HQ comes to you after now. Well, on Tuesday, the Senate confirmed Loretta Onoche as the chairman of the Niger Delta Development Commission, with 12 other persons appointed as board members. Charles Ogumola, a man from our local government area of Ondo State, one of the states under the NDDC's umbrella, was nominated as executive director of projects of the commission. A petition has, however, been filed against Ogumola, and a letter was written to the Senate over the legality of his nomination. Benson Enikuomehin from Ilaje, local government area of the state, is contesting against Ogumola's nomination, as Owo is not an oil-producing state and hence should not produce a member of the NDDC. Well, the issue has left lawyers with many interpretations and is currently at the Senate, where it is being reviewed for further decisions. Enikuomehin, a former member of the NDDC board, has described the nomination of Ogumola as illegal and a decision that contravenes extant laws governing the NDDC. This leaves us with a lot to unpack at the HQ today, plus the 2023 election, how the campaign is going for candidates, as well as intra and inter-politics. Benson Enikuomehin, a legal practitioner, joins me live in the studio. Good to see you and thanks for your time. It's good to say compliments of the season. It's Christmas and very African. I like that.
Thank you, Sulai. It's a pleasure being here. We're in a festive mood, and I know that your station is Pan-African.
Absolutely.
So I need to come in an African manner, in an African way, and I'm here.
I'm excited you're here, but before we delve in deep into the NDDC matter, you know, time was when you were actually neck deep in politics. Yeah, you're one of Nigeria's, you know, most talked about legal practitioners. Let's first of all start talking about the journey of this election. It's one of the elections most talked about. The incumbent will not be running. That's President Buhari. And we have almost new entrants and some that you would want to call veteran competitors, like the PDP candidate. Give us an overview of the campaign so far.
Well, I see competitiveness. I see one party or the other trying to outdo the other. In all honesty, 3 main political parties will be struggling for the very first position. Three main. And the fourth may also pull its own effort, but looking at the events all around, and you know politicians don't give up, even when they are sinking. They will tell you that, no, I'm going to strike a surprise. APC, PDP, Labour Party are in contest. And they will make efforts. I also see that the NMPP will also do its best. These are the 4 main parties that an observer, a keen observer, will want to give some measure of attention. But be that as it may, you will know that 2 main parties are dominant. The PDP is being in existence for 22 years plus. APC, amalgamation of various parties, for the past 7 to 8 years now, stood on their ground, and they've been able to take over the reign of power in Nigeria. They have their issues, but again, they are making efforts. The third is the obedient movement. I must give kudos to the gentleman, Peter Obi, for coming up at this time and sounding the trumpet so loud that everyone will hear. I wish him well. If he succeeds, I'll give him kudos. If he does not, he should continue the struggle. Because again, no meal is served to you on buffet. It's not a la carte. You must struggle for it.
You get into the kitchen,
of course, yes. You must
sweat it out.
And sometimes you make effort for the first time, you do not succeed. You go and go and go again. The beauty of a man is that when you fail, it tells you there's room to succeed. So I think he would put up a lot of effort, and barring all differences and all surprises that may come, surprises definitely will come, and these three parties will have it to be slugged out.
Now, let's talk about someone who's tried and tried again and is back again on the ballot, and we're talking about Nigeria's former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. And you know, for many, they think that this is more or less like the game of what? This is his last card, probably, you know, at the presidency. So how you know, how much of, you know, an effort do you see on the side of the PDP, knowing full well that there is also some infighting, specifically talking about the integrity group, the G5 governors? Is that going to possibly affect the gains of what the PDP may get on the day?
Of a truth, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is a veteran. He slugged it out with Basharun MQ Abiola at the Just Convention, I think 1992. He and Baba Ganaki Gibi. But for the intervention of late General Yar'Adua, he was a factor. At that time, he was still very young, below 50. And since that time, the name of Atiku has been ringing bell. So in 1999, when General Olusegun Obasanjo came on board, even though he had contested to be the governor of Adamawa State, his background, the fact that he's a veteran, encouraged Chief Olusegun Obasanjo to nominate him as his vice president. And they slugged it all together for a long while before things fell apart. Whether the center head or not is a different story to talk about now. But since then, he's been making effort over the time to lead the nation. I think he may mean well. But it's one thing to mean well, it's another thing for the people to see you as meaning well.
So the people effect here count.
Of course, yes. I was going to think that this 2023 election, Atiku was going to do a walkover. That was my thought. But the events in his party, with respect to that gentleman, has not been well managed. The wicked group, the G5, they are very vociferous, very strong, and they are making their impacts. And let no man tell me that they are inconsequential. You know, politicians have a way of saying it. If you are to run a race, a sprint, and there's a whitlow in one of your legs, you know how smooth it will be. Because that's going to be an issue. Except you have been well treated and the leg is healed, You may run, but it will be difficult to placing that leg that has Whitlow on the ground. And that is what is happening in the PDP. I have thought that when Alhaji Atiku came on board, though for me as a person, my reasoning was that he was not supposed to contest in the first instance. Let it be to the South. But everybody went to the primary and he won.
I hope you don't lose your train of thought. I'm excited that you just brought this perspective because you haven't actually publicly spoken in a long while. So you're one of those, who felt that the South has been shortchanged by the PDP.
Absolutely, absolutely. Come on, let's be factual. President Muhammadu Buhari will be completing 8 years tenure from Katsina State, Northwest. And then somebody rises up again from the same North. This time you can say Northeast, Adamawa, wanting to be president. And look at it. Another person again rising from Kano. Kano and Katsina, the distance is a short while, and says he also wants to be president. And what are the reasons? We have the population, we have the numbers. So that means that if Atiku wins in 2023, Kwakwaso also can come in 2027 because the number is there. And that's the reason why we talk about this principle of rotation. It goes to the South, it comes to the North, it goes to the North, it comes to the South. I feel very strongly that it ought to have been the Southern state's affair. That's simple. But he went to the primary, he won. Nobody said he rigged, he won. When he won, he would have noticed that schism and some persons who were not pleased by his victory will react. And that brings in the dexterity of examining who and who can pluck the coup. And I think that's the area I should have looked at. And in my place, they say, a man who will not allow you to finish your meal, you are preparing 2 cups of rice, and you know this guy, if he dips hand in, he finishes the food, even, no matter how hot it is. He will not even use spoon. He uses his hand and scoop it, and the food is gone.
There are people like that.
Yeah, of course, yes. They say, for such a person, what you should do is to add additional cups or cups to the rice, so that when you prepare, even though he is a consumer, quote and unquote, you will still have something left for you. If you don't, he finishes the food, you have just wasted your time. In this context, I think the former vice president should have looked into that issue. Some will say, no, it doesn't matter. You can't make your enemy your vice president. Come on. You see, the power of the president is enormous. You stoop to conquer. If I know that you are very vociferous, you are very troublesome, I call you to myself. Let's do it together. When I get the reign of power, I can tell you, sit down. This is the assignment I'm going to give to you. And that will be it. But persons who did not see in that way had advised the other way around. And we're seeing the effect.
Talking about advice, but so that we can move on now also, because one of the key things, one would have thought that going by the experience of the former vice president, then he should know better, the way you have just analyzed it. But it looks as if wise counsel didn't come from his camp. I have spoken to quite a number of PDP people on the HQ here, and some of them have also dismissed it as no problem. But listening to you, it looks like a big one.
A serious one at that. I told you, I said, a man that has Whitlow in the smallest of the toes We have issues when it's to sprint. Even if the whittler is in your finger and not in the leg, the pain of it will make it almost impossible for you to be at your best. You can imagine the governor of Rivers State saying, I'm not going to talk now, I will talk in January. In January...
And that's next week?
Of course, yes. I'll be going from one state to the other. Believe you me, this election is going to be competitive. If he wins 3,000 persons to his side by stocks, that is a minus. So to whittle down say it's immaterial. Those who are saying it are the usual sycophants who don't tell the authorities the truth. I, Dr. Benson Enikuomehin, will call a spade a spade. If it's against me, I will say so. I know I have a younger brother, he was a friend, very intelligent. Whenever we are discussing issues, I call him and say, hey, no day, what do you think about this? Because if I don't solicit his support, he got garner support from other persons, and before you know, they whittle down whatever I want to do. So once he buys in, I can go to places. So I think that area needs checking.
So one other area...
Whether it is late now or not is a different issue. The other political party...
Yes, the APC.
The APC. Ordinarily, a government in power, when it's leaving office, if it has done well, has the advantage of saying, we have done well, please, the one that is incoming will do well. I'll give an example. Fashola was leaving office, I think it was 2017 or thereabout, as governor of Lagos State. He did well. I'm not in his party. Each time I came to Lagos, I would see the footprints that he put on ground. So, to endorse Ambode and tell him that we will do better was not difficult for Lagosians to buy. Can I say that of the government of APC in Nigeria? I will be describing myself a white man, knowing fully well that I'm black, dark in complexion, in saying that. There was the promise that security would be a thing of the past. There was the promise that corruption would be gone forever. There was the promise that the economy, it was going to be $1 to 1 naira. At the last count, it was 750 naira to $1. So assess that government. Assess the inflation. Assess what they have done in the area of insecurity. Assess the quantum leap of corruption in the country. These are issues. However, the gentleman that has come on board, Aswaju, is a veteran. Whether you like it or not, you can give some things to him. When he knew that there was going to be a kind of gang up about his contesting the election, he came out with the theory of Imilokun. And see the way he pushed that one in, which is done every power. Don't underrate the man. And I won't underrate him though. Therefore, we will look at all of them, look at what they have done, what they will do. I've said about Obi, I like his gut, I like his movement. Whatever it is, all we are praying for is that INEC should ensure that this election, the violence,
but
the
again,
corruption, and all that are associated with our election thus far are reduced
but
to the barest minimum.
Is it about INEC? Because as much as INEC is working towards some of the key things you just highlighted, we're going to see that the attacks on INEC are getting, more frequent. How does that help a better, process on D-Day?
Professor Mahmoud came out with these beavers.
Yes.
You can't do incident form any longer. Oh, I forgot my something somewhere. Please bring incident form. Let me fill. It doesn't work. It is as you appear in the photograph. That is what the photograph will bring out. And therefore, for persons who are not convenient with this, they will go and apply the principle that attack is the first best form of defense. Let's reduce INEC to the barest minimum. Let's bring down their courage. Let's tell them that they can't do this. If not, there is no basis of going to burn down INEC offices all over the country. For what? Politicians, in their evil ingenuity, can do anything to take over power at all costs. But we must encourage INEC to remain focused, and that the federal government, and our appeal to President Muhammadu Buhari, he's not contesting this election. Let him leave a legacy for us, a legacy of neutrality. If you win, you win. If you fail, you fail. President Goodluck Jonathan left that legacy. He had the power to turn the country into a tumultuous environment. He said no. So, the same must be done this time around, where the level playing field is given to everybody. Do your campaigns the way they are going. It's nice, everybody is talking. And when you see areas where you should give jabs to your colleague who has not done well, it is part of the rule.
All right, then. So let's take a moment. When we come back, we'll be digging deep into the developments in the Niger Delta Development Commission, otherwise known as the NDDC. Join us again. Well, if you just joined us, you're welcome. You're watching Politics HQ here on News Center Television, broadcasting live to 54 African countries and beyond. And of course, we've been talking about, well, Nigeria's coming elections. But there's something about an agency of government, the NDDC, and Benson Enikuomehin is here to help us better understand the brouhaha and a few other things that is on the table of the Nigerian Senate. Now, take us through. Loretta Onochie, one of the aides of President Muhammadu Buhari, has just been made the chairman of the NDDC after a long time coming with that agency not having a board. You were a member, a board member of the NDDC, representing
the third governing board.
The third governing board of the NDDC at that point in time. First, let's have a firm understanding before we start looking at the composition of NDDC and that petition you wrote to the Nigerian Senate.
Well, in 1999, 2000, President Olusegun Obasanjo, I think it was one of the first, if not the second bill that is sent to the National Assembly, that there should be a law that will regulate the operations in the Niger Delta area. Prior to this time, it was UNPADEC. There was a decree number 2023, promulgated by Babangida, wherein we have the Oil Mineral Producing Area Development Commission. But when that law was being examined and looked into by the National Assembly, people of the Niger Delta felt that this particular law, or if it comes into effect, will be on how we manage our affairs and how we will regulate the things we will do. And therefore, a good number of provisions were provided. One of the cardinal provisions in that law is the clause or phrase that is found in section 2, subsection 1b. I came with the law, and it is stressed that one should read that particular provision. Section 2, subsection 1 provides, there is hereby established for the Commission a governing board, in this act referred to as the board, which shall consist of a chairman, B, one person who shall be an indigene of an oil-producing area to represent each of the following member states, that is, Abia, Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa, Cross River, Delta, Edo, Imo, Ondo, and River States. There are 9 states in the NDDC. For you to be qualified to represent any of these states, the law says you must be an indigene of the oil-producing area.
That's specifically talking about section 1B.
Section 2(1)(b).
B, yes.
You will see that under section 2(1)(a), it says there shall be a chairman.
The chairman, they didn't put anything about.
Yes, that clause of who shall
chairman
be an indigene of the oil-producing area is omitted. It's not there. Now, go to section 12(1). Section 12(1) of the Act. Section 12(1) of the Act talks about the appointment of the managing director and the 2 EDs. It says, there shall be for the commission a managing director and 2 executive directors who shall be indigenes of the oil-producing areas, starting with the member states of the commission with the highest production quantum of oil, and shall rotate among member states in order of production, and shall have such qualification and experience as are appropriate for a person required to perform the function of the office under this Act. So, aside from other qualifications you are to possess, the entrance door to that place, if you are to be made an MD, is that you must be an indigene of the oil-producing area. If you are to be made any of the EDs, we have Executive Director of Finance and Administration, Executive Director of Projects, you must be an indigene of the oil-producing area. Now, mischief makers have said oil-producing area is nebulous, that it could mean the entire state. Now, the word used is that you shall be an indigene of the oil-producing areas of the state. Of the state. It would have said, if the lawmaker wanted it to be the entire state, it should have said, you shall be an indigene of the oil-producing state. But it said area.
Or a citizen of the state.
A citizen of the state. The word used was very careful. And when you refer to area, for example, if you are talking about a local government, you say a local government area, correct? You don't say a state area. So the lawmakers knew, and we participated. I went to the National Assembly and submitted a memorandum also supporting this clause, because we knew the people that are upland are stronger and wiser than us. That when the opportunity comes to manage this place, they will come, they will manipulate, and then they will get the right to manage the place and then throw us overboard. Now, though there is a lacuna that the definition is not provided as to what constitutes the oil producing areas. But Sula, I have the joy of announcing that the Petroleum Industry Act 2021 has put that to rest. What do we refer to as the oil producing area? In fact, the Petroleum Industry Act 2021 has narrowed the oil producing area to host communities. It's no longer UC area. It's very definite that it is host communities. Look at the definition given. Under section 318, the definition section, which is the interpretation, section 318 of the Petroleum Industry Act 2021, host communities. You won't see producing area. No, it is host communities. It says host community means communities situated or appertinent to the area of operation of a settler and any other community as a settler may determine under Chapter 3 of this Act. Who is a settler? The law also provides the definition. Look at that. It says a settler is a holder of an interest in a petroleum prospecting license or petroleum mining lease whose areas of operations is located in or appertinent to any community or communities. In other words, a settler is the oil company that operates. And when an oil company is to operate, you first carry out the seismic activities, then you go and you get what we call the oil prospecting license, OPL. When you have found out that, oh, I can exploit oil in commercial quantity, government grants you the oil mining lease. And the oil mining lease is not nebulous. You have a geographical location where your oil mining lease is located.
It doesn't go beyond that.
It doesn't go beyond that. If you are to have 30 hectares, it is demarcated. And I say this without equivocation, that in Ondo State, because you mentioned the man from Owo, the oil producing area of Ondo State is located in the Niger local government. And please, before you ask for that question, the fact that it's in Niger local government, it is not the entire Niger local government where the operation of oil is carried out.
So it comes back to the 2B, talking about the indigenous.
Exactly. So the communities that are involved are the communities located in Ugbo land. 6 wards. There are 12 wards in Niger. We have constituency 1, we have constituency 2. Constituency 1 exclusively is the area where the oil companies operate. Which are the companies? Chevron operates OML 49, OML 95, Corn Oil has OML 103, Express Oil OML 108. We have the Parabe Freed, the Malu, the Eastern West. All these are located within the axis of Ugbo. So, when the lawmakers made this, if you are going to represent Ondo State, you must be an indigene of this area where oil is produced. But something must be cleared.
And what is?
There is a confusion between representation and benefit from that from NDDC. When it comes to representation, it is indigene that matters. But when it comes to sharing the bounties or benefit that will come, the entire state benefit. So it is not that when they go, they do it only for that locality. It is shared among the states.
So where is the National Assembly or the presidency? Because one would have thought that the president, but the president always has, an advisor on National Assembly matters to better explain some of these things.
You see, the nomination is not done by the advisor to the president on National Assembly matters. It is only when the names of the nominees are to be transmitted to the Senate. The National Assembly advisor is the carrier. He links up between the National Assembly and the presidency. What should be done?
Yes.
Is that when names are to be chosen, and previous administration did it in Ondo State, Chief Olusola Alexander Oke, SAN, was the first person who went to represent us from Ilowo. He is from the oil producing area. When he left, Dr. Ibukun Omotense from Obere Biminu in Ugbo Axis was the second person on the board. I served on the third governing board. I'm from Benson Enikuomehin from the oil producing area. Mr. Dele Omogbemi was the fourth. He's from Obela, from the oil producing area. My friend and my brother and colleague, Barrister Benson Enikuomehin, is from Oduigo in Ugbo Ward 6. He was the one who represented, was number 5. The present deputy governor of Ondo State, His Excellency Honorable Lucky Ayedatiwa, also went from the oil producing area. Where did we have this strange fire? This strange fire occurred when Mr. Tokunbo Ajashin in 2016, only God knows how it came, because it was never imagined. It was never imagined. But we opposed it. And now, the National Assembly, the 8th Assembly, acceded to our argument that you are not from oil producing area. Why will you go and put your head? It's our oil producing. We are not talking about palm oil, though. We are not talking of palm kernel. We are talking about crude oil. And the question to ask is this. Tula, I will land in a moment. Is there any oil company working in Owo? Owo is about 200 kilometers from Ilaje. The local governments that separate Owo and Ilaje are 11.
So what's the state of your petition now? Well, because you wrote the National Assembly, yes, specifically the Senate.
Of course, I did. And I verified it with affidavit. The National Assembly jettisoned the petition. Zula, I need to read to you the senators representing Ondo State. 3 of them. Senator Professor Robert Boroface, Senator Akinyelure Patrick Ayo, Senator Nicholas Tofowomo. 3 of them wrote to the Senate President saying this nominee cannot fly because he is not an indigene of the oil producer. They cited the law.
So let's get this straight. The 3 senators, all 3 senators from the 3 senatorial districts of your state of Ondo already, have written to the Senate,
yes,
clarifying the same issue you wrote a petition on. So then that would have been easy for the Senate if their own are also pointing to this act, saying that, look, there's some kind of anomaly.
I want to add to it. The Ondo State government, the Commissioner for Information and Orientation, when the senators had rejected, also came and lent credence, government credence, to say what the senators did, we agree. Give me a second. I'll be brief with what the senator said. Rejection of the nomination of Charles Ogumala as NDD Executive Director Project. We write as distinguished senators representing the 3 senatorial districts of Ondo State to reject the nomination of Mr. Charles Ogumala as Executive Director Project of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC. Our position is premised on the fact that the nomination of Mr. Charles Ogunmola is non-compliance with the provision of Section 12(1), which I read, of the NDDC Establishment Act 2000. The aforementioned act clearly stated that the nominee for the position of the Executive Director Project, quote, shall be an indigene of oil producing area, unquote. Mr. Charles Ogunmola is not an indigene of oil producing area of Ondo State. Therefore, we call on Your Excellency and the Nigerian Senate to uphold the extant provision of the NDDC Establishment Act 2000 by rejecting the nomination of Mr. Charles Ogunmola. All of them signed.
And if this hasn't been adhered to, or
now the question to ask is this.
So what else? What more can you do?
No, I will tell you what we'll do. The people in the Niger Delta area, oil producing area in Ondo State, rejected Charles Ogunmola. Our senators representing us rejected Charles Ogunmola. Ondo State government rejected Charles Ogunmola. Will the Senate cry more than the bereaved? We are the one affected. Charles Ogunmola is not going to control a state outside Ondo State. He's not going to control Charles Ogumola's state. He's coming to work for us. We in the oil producing area, we said, it's not our own. Senator said, we don't know you. Ondo State government came with a press statement, say, we reject Charles Ogunmola. Whose interest did the senator serve? The National Assembly serve?
Is it the National Assembly now, or the presidency?
Not the presidency. The presidency has forwarded the name to the National Assembly.
Good.
Nomination is different from confirmation.
Absolutely.
Confirmation will entail the screening, finding out, and let me tell you this.
But the name first came on through the presidency.
Yes, if an error was made, that was done during Tokunbo Ajasin. The 8th Assembly rejected him, and the president replaced him with Honorable Lucky Ayedatiwa, the incumbent deputy governor of Ondo State.
So going forward, what is Ondo State going to do if all three senators, Senator Borofi's, Patrick Ayo Akinlure, and Nicholas, all three saying that no, he's not one of us, and your state is also saying the same thing? What's the way forward?
I'll tell you the way forward.
Quickly, please.
2 things disqualify Charles Ogunmola. Number 1, by reason of the law, he's not qualified. Professionally, he is not fit to be there.
How do you mean professionally?
Oh, yes. This is what the Senate committee on the report of the Senate Screening Committee submitted to the National Assembly. Read what they wrote about Charles Ogunmola. They said, Charles B. Ogunmola hails from Ondo State and was born on the 26th April 1964. He attended Methodist High School, Ibadan, where he obtained General Certificate of Education, GCO level, in 1982.
Is there a part you're
and he
not,
proceeded, just a moment.
If there's a part, can we just go to the part,
and he proceeded to Benson State University, where he obtained Bachelor of Art, History, in 1987. A person that read history is now to be made Executive Director Projects, who will be supervising the bridges, who will be understanding the roads. How do you make a tailor to become the head of the surgeon at UCH? So when the bridges are collapsing, the man will go into history. And look at all that he said. They said he learns about, he works in UBA. This one is very interesting. He has a strong record implementing and managing core banking system, electronic payments, payment card system, switching and mediation platform.
But again, in politics, these don't count, do they?
We are talking about, you can do, if it's managing director, no problem. Executive Director Project. When they bring the projects to you in PMS, They bring it to you in design. They bring it to you in other departments. You as the head, you will sit down and say, okay, this tallies with this tallies with this. Are you going to use history to explain it? So this is the anomaly. And I wonder why that gentleman will want to die there.
No. I think that's not too good a word. He's not saying...
sorry. If the word is what do you call it, not too complimentary, I'm sorry about it. What I mean is this. People rejecting you. Qualification-wise, we are not. So when we begin to have issues with the roads and the bridges and all that, they will say it was the EDP sent.
So let's close on this.
That has messed us up.
Let's close on this. Petitions from all quarters. What's next? Since he's still there.
No, it's not there. The president has not inaugurated him.
No, he's still on the list.
Yes, he's on the list. He can be on the waiting list. You remember the Kumagba led, what do you call it, those ones that were appointed, they are still on the list, kept there in the limbo. We have written to the president to say, Mr. President, Senate could do what they like. However, you owe the nation a duty to put a round peg in a round hole. The executive project is is a professional project. Right, and we need somebody who's professional, and particularly who is from the oil producing area. If the president says yes, it's okay. If he says no, the game is first half. Second half, we'll be entering the second half. And I think the second half, the security people are already there. They've gotten an order restraining the board from being inaugurated. We are not sleeping.
All right, then.
We are only telling the world. That is the first half. Second half, the match will be hot.
And we'll be with you on second half. And of course, we're also waiting for the Ogumala's team to also come here on Politics HQ to speak on why they think their candidate should still be on the list. We'd like to thank you, Benson Enikuomehin, legal practitioner. Thank you for your time.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you.
We'll take a moment. When we come back, we'll give you a little piece to chew on Boxing Day. Well, this year has been one of the worst in the history of modern humanity as far as climatic conditions are concerned. Various parts of Africa are experiencing extreme drought owing to poor climatic conditions for their agricultural produce. Now, plants are withering and animals are dying from intense heat. I'm talking about heat waves and a lack of access to water. Now, in other countries, there is extreme flooding. Many Nigerian states were affected by these weather conditions as rainfall, usually peaceful and lovable, became the people's worst nightmare. For all this suffering in Africa, the leading players causing these violent climate change are barely in Africa. The United States, China, and Russia sit on top of the world's massive industrial centers and contribute significantly to the current conditions of the world. Should solutions be ever attained, they will come powerfully from these countries who are yet to take responsibility for the contribution to the problems of the world. The world is fast changing, and Africa, again and hardly as a result of its actions, is at the receiving end again. That's not an equal world. Chew on that. I'll see you again. Many thanks for watching.